Hi, welcome to the series of videos that describes SoccerDad 1.4. I'm going to be demoing today on the iPad. SoccerDad is now a universal app, so it'll run on the iPhone, iPod Touch, or the iPad. And the reason for using the iPad is just because it's new. The functionality that you see is available on all of the devices. It just looks a little bit different on the iPad because of the bigger screen real estate. So the way the iPad UI works is over on the left hand side you sort of have your master view. Okay, so this has the tabs that previous users of SoccerDad will be familiar with: teams, schedule, play, stats, and settings. So you can change amongst those here. Once I select something on the left hand side in this master view, I can then click on that and it displays the details over on the right hand side. Okay, so let me just switch back. I wanted to start with looking at teams, so I'm going to switch back to my team. Click on the team here and the team details are shown on the right hand side. I also just want to show you what happens when you actually rotate the iPad. So what I'm taking advantage of here is called a split view, and when you rotate it in portrait mode, now you sort of focus on that right hand side detail view. The master stuff is still available, but it's hidden behind this button on the toolbar. So this is called a popover. And now again I can still switch amongst these things and get to something new. So let's just show you going back to a game here. Okay, but now I really focus in on the details. Okay, so back to a team. So this is a team that I set up, and I want to, in this video, just go through some of the new features that are available. So starting off with the team, there's a new section within the team called the opposing teams section, and what this allows you to do is set up your opposing teams once. And I know it's typical for people to play sort of multiple games against those teams, so when you're setting up the games it then becomes much easier entering that data. Okay, so I'll just go into edit mode. I get a new opposing team here, and I can go in and enter my team information. So this team is going to be orange, and pick a color. So again, the editing just works a little bit differently on the iPad. It doesn't do full screen transitions. It shows some of these editing things in popovers as well, so you don't leave the screen that you're working on. So that's as much information as you capture on the opposing team, a color and a name, and then again you can use that when you go to setting up your games. The other option you have is when you're setting up your games, you can actually set up your opposing teams at that point too, so you don't have to sort of predefine them here. Okay, so that's opposing teams, pretty straightforward. The next new feature is this feature called lineups. So again, I'm operating on a team here, so I can create my favorite lineups and have them available to me for when I'm doing my planning. Okay, so you really have a set of these things associated with the team. I'm starting out from scratch. I don't actually have any lineups defined right now, so I just look at a view of the soccer field here. The button down at the bottom right, you'll see in a number of places in the application. This is called the action button, and so I click on the action button and it shows me the sort of options that are available to me. So for right now I'm going to create a new lineup, and we'll give the lineup a name. So let's say this is my defensive formation. So the idea here is, these are the guys I want to put on at the end of the game. I've got a comfortable lead and I want to defend that. Okay. Again, I can pick a format for the lineup, so the number of players really that you're going to be using. And then also the formation that I'm going to be following. So this goes from defense to offense. So I'm going to have, it's a 6v6 game, and I'm going to have 3 players in defense and 2 players on offense. So once I've set up the details, now I get my formation, and there are no players filled in at this point. So I can just start filling them in. And I just pick them in the order that I like to see them. That's somebody I don't have a photo for. Now, one thing to notice here on these screens where I'm picking sort of substitutions, for players who are actually on the field right now, they're dimmed out. It may be a little bit difficult to tell on the video, easier to tell in practice. So it just makes it a little bit easier to see who you have still to place, or when you're in a game situation, who's still on the bench. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with that lineup. The other little optimization to switching players is if I have the players on the field that I want, but you know what, I want to swap my offensive players left and right, I can just touch those both at the same time and those players will get switched. So let's just show that again. So again, just a little quick thing so you don't have to go click on one, pick them in another view. Okay, so that's my first lineup, and let's just create one more. So this is my let's say this is attack, so I'm going to change my formation here. Let's say it's going to be 2-3 instead. So now I get my 3 players up front, 2 players in defense with my goalie. Okay, so again, just a simple, I'm just going to do this quickly. Okay, so there's my lineup name is up here, attack. There's my attacking formation, and now what you see is you actually have 2 little page dots here. So there's my other lineup that I had set up, and so these will be associated with the team. You can always come back here to review your lineups, and I'll show you a little bit later how you use those when you're planning your game. Okay, just show you a couple of the other options. I'm not going to do them, but I'll explain them. Copy a lineup. If I have a lineup here and I just want to tweak it, I want to create a new one, but it's close to this one with a couple of changes, I can actually copy the lineup and give it a new name, and then I can go edit that one independently. We saw new lineup. Lineup details just allows me to go back and change the formation or the number of players, and obviously delete lineup gets rid of one that you're no longer using. Okay, so that's lineups.